Hi, everyone.
All right.
Hi,
Hello.
Derek.
So
Good to
we
see
have
you.
our second show of our 3-month Beethoven Festival. And basically, we start out with, one of the all-time popular favorite piano sonatas, the Pathetique, which in a lot of ways started a new path for Beethoven in expressing emotion. And ironically, we didn't play the first movement of this, which that lends itself to. And after I read this passage from Jan Swafford, we'll listen to the first movement of the Pathetique. But here's what Jan Swafford has to say about the Pathetique. In the Pathetique, the full force of Beethoven's C minor mood is unleashed. Here is a shining prophecy of what he was to call a new path, the direction that would bring him to his full maturity. While his early sonatas had been in some degree singular, the Pathetique is among the first of his works in any medium to stand from beginning to end as an unforgettable individual. Like the earlier sonatas, it has a singular sonority, an approach to the instrument special to the work and its emotional world. But now the sonority has a sharper and more distinctive profile than the early ones. And he goes on to say, the Pathetique made an immediate and enduring sensation. Played in parlors and private halls, it helped carry the composer's name around Europe. It would endure as the first fully formed avatar of the tension and dynamism Beethoven found in C minor. Still for him, there was no epiphany, no sense that at the time he said, Eureka, this is who I am. For the time being, this voice would be one of several Beethoven wielded, some current, some prophetic, some backward looking. And he never entirely stopped looking backward for inspiration and instruction. So we talked a little bit last week about the importance of C minor and how he uses it in these very significant works of his throughout his career. Impressions on Bleyhash's performance of the Pathetique?
Very good.
Good?
Really beautiful.
Good? Thumbs
Gorgeous.
up?
Yeah.
Very
Yeah,
fluent.
why do I even ask you? You
Yeah,
always
he's
tell me
fabulous.
it's a thumbs up and fabulous. you're really stroking the series ego when you say these things. But no, it's
true.
such a, it's the Pathetique. I mean, we have these war horses of literature in orchestral literature, chamber music, piano literature, and there's a reason why they're war horses. There's a reason why these pieces are so significant. It's very easy as a serious classical music listener to say, oh, the Beethoven's Fifth, yeah. The Mozart G minor symphony, yeah, I know that one, But come back and listen to them. And they're really, just really, really wonderful, wonderful pieces. But the Pathetique is one of these pieces in classical music history. So without further ado, not delay ado, we're going to listen to the first movement of the Pathetique with the same performance, Raphael Bleyhash. And here we go. Oh, no. Oh, there we go.
Here it is. like you say, listening to it like it's the first time, it's a whole different experience. Incredible.
A remarkable piece.
A very dramatic reading.
Very dramatic.
Like it's almost like hearing a great Shakespearean actor or actress reading some great speech. He made it into a story, dramatic story.
I think it was a wonderful performance. I think you're right, Gary. It's amazing, you know, we listened to Opus 2 last week, and Opus 2 was 1795. This piece is only 3 years after that. It's incredible. You have the Opus 2 that's cast in a very classical, you know, very Haydn-esque sort of way with a little spice of Beethoven. But then he comes with this. It's really remarkable.
Yeah. Where did it come from?
Well, as I said, William, last week, there's a reason why I'm spending 3 months on Beethoven.
Yeah. Yeah, he just goes into so many different worlds, just landscapes and worlds that are just so new.
But this is the instance where he's doing something different, completely different, where Haydn could not have written this piece. Mozart could not have written this piece. This is Beethoven.
Yeah.
Miraculous that any human being could have written it. It's just incredible. I mean, even if you say that people have profound emotions, to be able to translate those emotions into music. And by the way, I agree with you about the Blechach performance. One of the things that's so remarkable about it was, if you notice, every time he came to a rest or a long held note, it was held just the right amount, that you just were kind of on the edge of the seat for him then to resume, and it was just right. I mean, he's a remarkable musician, just beautiful playing, wonderful, revealing, revelatory playing.
I agree. His use of silence in this performance was very, very effective. Very effective. Any other thoughts?
Why is the Pathétique so popular, or so well known as compared to the other Beethoven sonatas?
Well, I mean, there's other sonatas that are as popular. I think that the sheer contrast. Think about this, and we didn't do this in the radio show. Think of the contrast of this drama and depth in the C minor, and then he comes in the second movement with this just plaintive, beautiful love song, essentially. I think it's a remarkable work. It's a masterwork. I mean, it
is.
Yeah, it's a masterwork.
It's amazing.
It's amazing.
And you say it's the one that got his name a household word. It spread his name like nothing else had before.
Correct. This is the piece that got him fame throughout Europe. Once this piece was published, people wanted to play this piece in their salons and everything like that. It was his first real big success. He got notoriety in Vienna with his earlier works, and he was somewhat known. But this is the piece that where he made his European mark. This piece. So we follow this up with the Opus 18 number 1. And did anybody notice anything interesting about this recording?
The quartet? No,
the quartet. The Opus 18 number 1 that we heard on the show tonight. John?
Well, Derek, when was this?
Huh?
When was this recording? I missed your date.
2010?
This was 2010, yeah.
2010.
Were there personnel changes between then and now?
No, so embarrassingly, that was not the slow movement of Opus 18 number 1.
Yeah.
No.
120, yeah, I think it was the 127.
It was 127. Thank
no
you, Brian.
Wonder. That stumped that. Okay. It sounded pretty advanced.
You can imagine my horror.
Curveball.
Yeah,
It's
what William
my
just
fault.
said. It sounded very advanced, and
Way too advanced.
yeah, I was just
Yeah,
like,
he's
oh
like
wow.
going into-
I mean, I didn't understand. I didn't realize at the beginning that it was the 127. But like William, I heard just like harmonic complexity. I was like, wow, Beethoven coming right out of the chute with it, and then
Yeah.
So here's what happened. This
Oops.
particular Brentano performance was an all Beethoven performance. And there was this hiss, this sound coming out of the mics throughout the entire performance. So our recording engineer cleaned out that hiss and then mislabeled the quartet selections. But I didn't double check, and that's on me. So
Well, let's see who figures it out.
Oh my God, I was sitting there listening, and I said, "Oh my goodness." And I have to tell you, when I review the shows, and I do review the shows, I don't really look at the sound
Playlist.
files because I'm just looking for my spoken narrative. So I am so sorry.
Well, Derek,
Keep
it
us
was
on
an
our toes.
amazing performance.
Whichever one it was.
It was an amazing performance,
Yeah.
but I thought maybe I should actually play the 18 number one for you. So here we go. This is the slow movement of 18 number one with the Brentano String Quartet from that very performance. Here we go. That's not bad either.
So Derek, I want to offer you an excuse for the mix-up between those two slow movements. I think there's an amazing similarity between the second themes of those two pieces that are almost like a beer hall stomp thrown right in the middle of this. And it kind of sounds like Beethoven couldn't resist throwing a little bit of paint on his beautiful creation. So it's typical of Beethoven.
Yeah.
And both of these movements, you know, on this one, it's really short. It's like 20 seconds or so. So that's why you confused. That's why they got confused.
Yeah.
Yes, that's right. It's fine.
I must say, Derek, if there are many young people listening to the radio program, you just created a Twitter storm.
Yeah, that's right. That's right, exactly. I didn't reach out to the station yet, but I will do that. I'm sure they're hearing all sorts of things, but maybe not. But you hear, but still the drama, you know, even throughout, you know, we can compare the 127 with 18 number 1. This sense of drama and the darkness. I mean, it's pretty staggering.
It is.
His expression. I mean, it's just, you know, rips
But
your
this one
heart
also
out.
has that incredible singing theme that you know, that just, you know, if you ever thought Beethoven couldn't write a tune,
Right.
this proves that wrong.
Yeah. And just the sheer contrast of emotion.
Yeah.
Know, where it's just this supreme darkness and then this just sunny melody that comes, you know, in the B section. It's just marvelous.
It's also an example of how he takes this little phrase, bum 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 bum, and just transforms it, major and minor, and inverts it. Fabulous.
So the set of, you know, we've now focused twice on the Opus 18. The Opus 18 quartets were not written in order. So in other words, this wasn't the first quartet of that set that he had written. The numbering actually goes, I wrote it down, 3, this is the chronological order of the Opus 18, the 6 quartets. Number 3, number 1, 2, 5, 4, 6. So this was actually the second one written. And it was at the suggestion of Ignaz Schuppanzig that he start the set with this. Does anybody know who that was?
He was the quartet leader.
He was the violinist of that quartet that played a lot of Beethoven's quartets.
So he had a quartet. It was a little bit ad hoc in the beginning, but he actually is known as forming the first professional string quartet in history, called the Razumovsky Quartet, named after the Count. And that quartet premiered many of the Beethoven string quartets, especially the late quartets.
So the name of the quartet, the group, was the Razumovsky?
Yes, and his name was Ignaz Schuppanzig. And you know, when those late quartets came out, Schuppanzig was just mortified that, you know, he's like, they're unplayable. These are you know, but his quartet premiered all of those wonderful works. It's fascinating.
Isn't there one of the late quartets nicknamed the Razumovsky?
Actually, the middle quartets.
In the middle. Okay.
The 3 Opus 59 quartets. Yeah.
So he advised Beethoven to sort of play with the order.
Yes. He was the one. So Beethoven had given his quartet this set of 6, and it was at his suggestion that the F major go first.
Okay.
Yeah.
And why was that?
That's because it's more dramatic, right?
Yeah, I think so. I think he thought it made a better first impression of the set. Yeah. So we now turn to the violin sonata, which is wonderful to hear a performance by Pam Frank and Claude Frank. Do we remember Claude Frank?
Yes.
Oh yeah.
Pianist?
Yeah.
Wonderful.
Marvelous pianist. And I had the great fortune to work a little bit with him at Yale in grad school. And just a beautiful pianist. And Pam, you know, Pam's an incredible fiddle player. Her career had been dormant for a while because she injured her hand quite significantly. And now
What
she's back.
we heard was before or after her injury?
Oh, way before.
Way
This
before.
recording was, I believe, in the 99-2000 season.
Okay.
Yeah, in the year 2000.
Oh, 2000.
Yeah, yeah. And Claude passed about no, it's been about maybe 10 years, 8 to 10 years ago. Claude passed. But a really, really wonderful performance. And this one, as I had said in the show, this sonata is a little bit forgotten with its partner, the Spring Sonata, which is a very popular sonata. And did anybody know about their association, what I had said on the show? So he had written them as a set, and the printer messed up.
Oh.
They printed one sheet this way and one sheet that way.
Oh yeah.
So then they were published as a set. So it would have been cumbersome to publish them as a set. So they have different opus numbers. How about that?
Mm.
But Beethoven meant them as companion pieces when he composed them. But how'd you like that performance with Pam and Claude?
Wonderful.
Oh, lovely.
Yeah.
So fluent.
Again, just very dramatic, really tasteful, just wonderful, wonderful play. She's a marvelous musician.
Derek,
Yeah.
it's not really a violin sonata, it's a sonata for violin and piano. And I guess you said Mozart started this thing. Why? I know Bach had rather gorgeous violin sonatas, violin only. Now, what prompted the change to the combination of piano and violin? Is it? I mean, you do get kind of a give and take between the two instruments that way. But I'm curious, what prompted it? You have any idea?
Well, 2 points on that. It stems certainly from harpsichord, from a soloist with a harpsichord. But interestingly, Dan, these were published as actually sonatas for piano and violin.
Yes.
Right.
But
Meaning the piano was always
piano
was always dominant, and it was listed as such, as piano and violin in this period.
Yeah.
Yeah. But why that particular combination? I think it stems from sonatas of the Baroque period, where the keyboard just morphs into the piano. Yeah.
Okay.
But the piano part, it's which is why we never say accompanist with these, when you have a sonata player. These are equal partners. These especially in these Beethoven instrumental sonatas and the cello sonatas.
Cello, it's piano and cello.
Yes, yeah. That was the tradition. Yeah.
It's kind of funny. There's a give and take between the two instruments in this performance. I did enjoy that. I mean, it's kind of interesting. But I'm just curious why they started that whole sequence to begin with.
It's as I said, I think it stems from the tradition in the Baroque period. But for me, when we talk about the violin sonatas of Beethoven, you get into the Opus 30 sonatas. But for me, one of the most remarkable works of this entire period, in the middle period, is the Kreutzer Sonata. Does everyone know the Kreutzer Sonata for violin?
I've listened to it lately, but I know I haven't. Yeah.
And sadly, we don't have record of it on the series, a recorded record of it on the series. And it's not included in the festival, but that is one of the most remarkable sonatas I believe ever written. Incredible piece, absolutely incredible piece. And then we move to the piano wind quintet, which is near and dear to my heart. Are we familiar with this piece at all? Not at all.
No.
John.
Well, it's a great piece, and I can't help but go back to the comment earlier about how Mozart could not have written the Pathetique. This piece, when I hear it, if I hear it on the radio or whatever, and I'm not thinking about it, I think it's a Mozart piece because it sounds like Mozart, because it's got that great singing quality that Mozart did so beautifully, and Beethoven is not known for. But in this piece, he really, really pulls it out 100%.
There's good reason for that. This is actually Beethoven copying Mozart. Yeah. And many feel that this is the lesser of the two pieces. And I would probably tend to agree with that. But first, before I forget, I wanted to identify the players of this performance.
Yes, please.
Pianist was Gil Kalish. The oboist was Rudy Verbsky, who used to be principal oboist of the National Symphony. Alex Fitterstein, the clarinetist, who's faculty of Peabody Conservatory and has been on the series before. The bassoonist is Shin-Yi Na, she's playing in, I believe, the Jacksonville Symphony. And the horn player was Paul LaFollette, who actually had a career and stopped playing. He doesn't play anymore. But really wonderful group. But let me just, so the Mozart Piano Wind Quintet, the story goes that Beethoven heard a performance of that work in Prague while he was on tour and wanted to fashion a piece after Mozart. And in this period, he also wrote the Horn Sonata as well. So he was a little focused on the wind and actually the septet for winds and strings. So I had this mini period of doing some wind chamber music. But the Mozart quintet in E flat major is K452. And it's really considered, I mean, I'm a horn player, so I'm biased, but it's really considered one of the great Mozart chamber works. It's a really, really wonderful piece. And John, you're absolutely right. This is a classical piece. You know, this is written after the Pathétique, and it's really very Mozartian, very Mozartian. And I'll show you, I wrote down the movements, comparing the way each cast the movement. So the Mozart starts with the Largo introduction and then Allegro moderato first movement. The Beethoven starts with a Grave introduction and Allegro ma non troppo first movement. The second movement, Mozart is Larghetto. The second movement of Beethoven is the Andante cantabile, so not too slow, not too fast. And then the Mozart, the last movement is a Rondo Allegretto, and the Beethoven is a Rondo Allegro ma non troppo, meaning, so it's not a very speedy last movement, like a presto or anything. So they're very, very similar. And I wanted to share, because of my horn playing, each of these movements, each of these pieces, we didn't hear the first movements of these pieces, but each of these pieces ends the first movement with a horn call. So this is the Mozart, and it's very indicative of a horn player, of a horn call, a hunting horn. And here's the Beethoven. He expands upon it. He imitates even the horn call at the end of the first movement.
Oh my gosh.
Yeah. So it's really fascinating. And do we know the Mozart quintet for piano and winds?
No.
Not really. I had a feeling. And I know, I'm sorry, I didn't plan on doing this much listening tonight due to the error. But I really think we should hear the slow movement of the Mozart Piano Wind Quintet, because it's really, truly one of the most beautiful things ever. And I have a YouTube with Alfred Brendel, Heinz Holliger, Eduard Brunner, Klaus Thunemann, and the horn player Hermann Baumann. So here we go. This is the slow movement of Mozart's K452 Quintet for Piano and Wind. How'd you like that?
Why would a horn player like that? I just wonder. Very genteel. I just think I can't resist a quote from Igor Stravinsky about composers taking things from. If you have a thriving artistic community, the artists are always listening to each other and borrowing or taking stuff. Stravinsky said, "Good composers borrow, great composers steal."
Steel. Yeah.
But that was, you're right, Derek, that was superior to the Beethoven.
Yeah.
Yeah. Just those lines are just so meltingly, just unbearably beautiful.
Yeah, there's some, and they were some of the greatest wind players of like the 80s from
Yeah.
Europe. For me, the tempo was slightly under.
Yeah.
But a marvelous performance. I pulled something up on my phone because I had a recollection. Don't take my horn player word for it. Here's what Mozart said about this piece in a letter to his father. I myself consider it to be the best thing I have written in my life.
Yeah.
You should know that piece. It's a beautiful, beautiful, beautiful piece. Really, really wonderful. And Beethoven knew what he was copying to get his chamber music wind playing going. But the Beethoven, I don't mean to besmirch the Beethoven, but the Mozart is really one of Mozart's masterwork chamber pieces. And it's overlooked because of the winds. We're always overlooked.
There's that wonderful piece of the Grand Partita, which
Another
is
one.
Incredible. They used it in Amadeus when Salieri's sitting there and he's hearing it and he's saying, of course, that's the perfect thing, but I never would have come up with that. That high.
Yeah,
It's just genius.
The serenades, for me, the Grand Partita, for one, is it's an enormous piece. It's 50 minutes long. But the C minor serenade, the number 10, the C minor, which is quite famous, and he's also transcribed them for viola quintet, as well as the E flat major serenade. Really, really marvelous pieces. He writes, these wind serenades were supposed to be played outside at parties and things like that. And the C minor, the number 10, is this dark, edgy thing. It's such a great piece. It's really, really wonderful. So
it's called the C minor. It's called number.
So there are wind serenades. The wind serenade, I don't know the Kirkel number, but it's the wind serenade in C minor. It's very famous.
Yeah.
Very famous. But the piano wind quintet is an extraordinary piece. Please know it. Please.
Yeah.
What's the Kirko number?
452.
Thank you.
452.
There are some really good recordings out that you can easily get. So,
Which one do you like?
I have several, but I can't remember which ones off the top of my head. But it's a piece I really love. So
Yeah, it's a marvelous piece. I think I have a recording of Barenboim and some British wind players. So yeah.
Oh.
Yeah. But anyway, we're talking a lot about Mozart, and we're supposed to be focusing on Beethoven.
Yeah.
Anyway, does anybody have any further thoughts about tonight's show?
thank you for doing it.
Well, thank you so much. Next week, we have the Master of Improvisation, and we focus on theme and variations for piano next week. So we will see you next week. Thanks, everybody, for coming.
Great.
Thank you, everybody.
Yeah.
Have a good night.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Are we muted?
That was great.
Thanks, William.
Thanks.
Good to see you.
It's good to see you, and it's good to listen in community. It's good the communal experience of listening. We're really missing that.
I think, William, especially with chamber music, I think that's really.
I mean, I hear so much more when I'm with a group, even on Zoom. The collective I just I listen better.